What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing this Friday night? Here we are. So let me bring you guys up to speed here. Tonight, we originally had a guest scheduled. Our guest, Ty Chapman, her daughter had a baby. So she flew out of state to go meet up with her daughter and see her new grandchild, which we're going to reschedule her at a later date and time. However, we are having an open podcast discussion tonight. We got a few things we're going to get started with tonight. I think it's kind of interesting. So sit tight and get ready for that. I think tonight's discussion is going to go very well. We're in for some fun times as always. So, and as you watch for the intro, what I did, I shared a couple things here. I just recently published a few books out, and my books, as you've seen, I'll bring them up again a little bit later. So for those who may not have gotten to see them, but Trail of the Unknown, you know, the Bigfoot Zone, and of course my new children's book, uh, Caden Goes Camping, based off of my grandson and my camping adventures. So all those can be found on Lulu.com. And also another thing I just put out for all the field researchers out there, if you want to stay organized and keep record of all your data and evidence, feel free to grab yourself an ECBRO logbook. Yes, it's for field notes, and it's well put together. Everything's categorized. There's around approximately about 52 pages in the whole thing. Um and again, that can be found on Lulu.com. It's a field book. Take it with you. A lot of people like to carry a journal with them, or whatever. But I customized this one a little bit. It's got a pretty cool front and back cover, and it's got everything broken down, categorized. There's plenty of room to add notes, and then towards the end of the book, you could add a lot more notes, additional notes if need be. So we got Trail of the Unknown, A Journey Beyond Truth, The Bigfoot Zone, and Caden Goes Camping, and the logbook. So all that's been advertised and promoted on Facebook and other social media platforms, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. Um, and I'll be continuing to promote that. I've already made a few sales. I know I've had people already ask, well, hey, do you have copies of it yourself so you can send it out with a sign? No, because it costs me money to order them, just like if you had to buy them. So I don't have the funds to buy my own copies right now. Maybe at a later date and time. But anyway, I also want to make mention if you are listening on ECBR Bigfoot Radio, um, all the content that you hear on ECBR Bigfoot Radio, regardless of what platform you've heard it through, iHeartRadio or Apple, Pandora, whatever platform, please note that you guys are listening to what's recorded, uncensored, for the first time on YouTube. Bigfoot Zone ECBR, excuse me, Bigfoot Zone ECBRO, right here on YouTube. And of course, everything gets uploaded right after this onto the platform. So if you ever wonder why it doesn't sound like your typical radio show, it's because we're on YouTube and you get to hear what was put on YouTube, live and uncut, uncensored, raw. We like to laugh, cut up, joke. Yes, we talk serious. We have some really great discussions, but we like to have fun. There's no sense of being uptight, stuck up, and everything in between. So, but anyway, we're going to bring our panel in tonight. Everybody sit tight. We're going to be watching the live chat. We'll answer questions, and we'll go from there. So, first of all, welcome back, David and Melissa Lester. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Okay.
Thanks for joining there, Ryan and chat. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we got the man, the myth, the legend himself, William Nighthawk. Welcome, William. How you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. Glad to be here, guys.
Excellent, excellent. So, I know you guys are on Facebook as much as I am and other social media platforms. And, I try to keep up with a lot what's going on. But, there's one of the things I've actually been noticing a lot about, and I know you guys probably seen it too, which we're going to bring it up here very shortly. Yeah, are you guys? Oh man, we're on my. Oh, there we go. That's what I think. Oh no, some of my stuff. I'll have to upload it again. Um, see what this is. So you guys are familiar with the disclosure and Donald Trump talking about the alien declassification and all that stuff. I'm sure you guys all heard of some of that stuff there. Um, so on Donald Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, he went on to say that he would direct the Department of Defense and other federal agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, other known as UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex, extremely interesting, and important matters. So, yeah, when I first heard about this, I was like, wait a minute, I thought this was just a bunch of, you know, misinformation from all the sources. So I started looking into it. Donald Trump really did say this. He brought it up because of Obama spoke up and was questioned in the interview that are aliens are real, and of course he said yes, aliens are real, but I never seen them. Blah blah blah. Trump said in another video he was not supposed to share that information that was declassified. So basically, Trump's saying it's declassified, but yet he's telling on himself and telling on the whole thing. So I don't know. Very interesting. Of course, I had some other. Yeah, this is the main thing I wanted to share anyway. So okay, I thought I had something else. Um, I don't know if you guys think about that real quick. Well, before we get into that, let me pop this up. I thought this was funny. Marco Rubio.
Oh, good grief.
I saw this. I had to share this because for those who don't know, the joke behind this, just last year in 2025, Marco Rubio was actually involved in a documentary referred to, along with so many other government officials, talking about.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, where'd Daniel go?
Yeah, sounds like we lost him.
Daniel's got a habit of dropping off every now and then.
Yeah. No, for some reason, it said I don't know why I did that. It shouldn't have done that. It might be because I'm sharing all these other things up here. I don't know. But I don't know what part you lost me at. But like I said, the reason I shared that picture with Marco was because, yeah, I guess he was part of a documentary which is titled Age of Distinction. So again, it's referring to the alien, and there's a history that goes so far back with other presidents and other government officials and all this stuff. But I don't know. I mean, the whole reason I'm bringing this up, I know this is off the subject of Bigfoot, but I thought it was interesting that they're talking about aliens. They're like basically they're admitting to aliens finally. Yes, so they had they had the Air
The Star
Force.
Beings have always been here, Daniel.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's the government finally. I mean, I guess they kind of slipped up, and I felt like they feel like they have to admit now. It's like they have, like it's like they felt like I don't know. It's like why are they admitting to it now? Then a lot of people have this
distractionary event, probably.
Yeah. So, I mean,
think about what's going on, Daniel, and everybody, in the chat. What's going on in mainstream media right now? You got two big stories. You've got a missing woman from Tucson, Arizona, and you have the e-files that came out, okay, with all the names and everything of all these prominent individuals, captains of industry and all that, big tech industry and all that. Well, you're going to want to distract from that to take the heat off of, those people, if those people are actually the ones that are introducing certain things into society worldwide.
Right.
That's just, that's you're talking the top 1% of the top 10% of the elite, that are in those files. So I don't know. They've always been here. I know from my own experience with it, the one time that I had it happen. But yeah, I mean, we indigenous people have always known that there's other beings that live here. And we just didn't pay it any mind. We just let them do their thing, and we did ours. So,
well, take everything in perspective. Put things into perspective too. And this is from my viewpoint. Instead of going way back in history, going over the possibilities of what could have transpired, back in time, could it be another deflection? Get people to stop talking about what's been going on? Could it be leading into something else for a true declassification of they actually exist? But if you take
Project Blue
into
Beam.
account everything that's been going on, a couple of years ago, Congress initiated the investigations and stuff, asking the people some of the whistleblowers and stuff they invited in on their panels and everything to talk about, i.e., UAPs and whatnot. And then you got the e-file stuff going on. Like William said, you got the lady stuff going on here. For years, they've been talking about a one world government. And then for a while, you didn't hear about it anymore, and now they're talking about it again. You've got several countries like the Prime Minister of Australia, and then over in Europe and stuff, and our people even here is talking about a one world system. So if you collectively look at everything going on, could it be leading into an absolute disclosure, which could what's the number one way of bringing the world together under one canopy? An
Aliens.
outside source.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
Ronald Reagan said it best.
You got that right. He sure did. There's just too much going on, too many deflections going on. And why now? I mean, they had the e-files. They've known this for like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
The last administration had it before. You didn't hear nothing about the stuff.
Yeah.
And now all of a
tell you
sudden
the
it's coming
truth,
to light again.
I would say probably 80% of what people are seeing are our own or some other country's devices that they have that haven't disclosed it completely to the public. So,
I agree with that. Yes,
you know.
absolutely. Most definitely, yeah. Because I mean, is our government alone going to admit, "Hey, look, we got this. Look what kind of equipment we got. This is what we use to spy," or they're not going to tell us. It's not our business. I mean, they have reasons to keep it classified. But I mean, just like when the what's that one aircraft that came out some years ago, and we weren't supposed to know about it either, but they had to make emergency landing with it. The stealth bomber. Look how aerodynamic it's a triangle shape, basically, you know. And yeah, I mean, people started seeing that, and then they had no choice but to admit, yeah, that's our equipment, you know. So,
well, when they were talking about it, you said Obama had mentioned that. I seen the same interview and whatnot. He also made the comment that
they're not,
they're
not,
real, but
yeah,
they haven't. If they're real, they haven't told the president. Well, people's got to realize presidents come and go.
yeah.
There's a government behind the government that's running a lot of stuff that people have no concept of how deep things go.
Yeah,
and that is a fact as far as that. You've got all these different projects going on. For the people that come and go a short time in office, they're not going to be privy to everything. It's not going to happen. Now, if you happen to stumble into it, like a couple of presidents did in the past, and most people know who I'm talking about, they've got a lot of what's going on. Just like the one president that disappeared for like 3 days. Nobody knew where he was at. Later come out and said that he was making deals and stuff with, i.e.
Eisenhower.
I wasn't going to say him, but yeah, you're right, William, that he was making deals with the aliens. And then all of a sudden you start getting this explosion in abductions and everything going on. Now, we could speculate all we want what could be behind all the abductions and stuff like that, because that takes many different paths. But he was right when he made a comment. They ain't telling the presidents, they're only in office 4 to 8 years, and then they're gone.
Yep.
People behind the scenes that's running these big programs. I'm not going to say dark programs. So I'm sure you do have national security behind it. I'm not going to deny a lot of that, but they're not going to let just anybody and everybody have that knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah,
they're not going to have any play on what's going on.
Yeah, well, most people think that the military has just three specific grades of intelligence, and they consider it confidential, secret, and top secret. So
there's more than that.
Yeah. Real
sorry,
quick. Oh no, you're fine.
I'm getting goodies. Hold on. The wife just
there's
brought
many
me
levels. Yeah, there's many levels above secret.
Yeah. Regarding the David, you brought up there. You saw
secret.
The same.
There's many levels above top secret. That's what I was trying to say. Not secret, but top secret. There are many levels above that.
Yeah. Now you were talking about the interview with Obama. One thing that I remember Obama saying in the interview. Now I got questions about what he said. How does he know this information? Because he went on to say, "Well, yes, aliens are real, but I've never seen them. But they're not being held at Area 51, and there's no underground tunnels."
Deflection.
Okay, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, why would he be saying it? That's what I kept listening to that. What's he
He
know?
was trying
I
to put
mean,
doubt on the comment that he made. Probably it's probably
yeah,
he wanted to sow that seed of doubt. They may not
right,
be at Area
Yeah.
51 now. They could have been moved many years ago. I'm sure by now, what was that, 47, 48, 49 that happened, whatever time frame? By now,
yeah.
there's so many,
47.
they got so many complexes around here that people don't know about. I mean, it's unreal.
I mean, we might have an
Yeah.
who knows? We might have an underground facility right here in Virginia that we don't know about. I mean,
Oh, I
yeah,
guarantee there's a facility underground in Northern Virginia that a lot of people don't know about. In fact, there's two of them. One that's actually by, as a matter of fact, and
mm,
another one is everyone knows is Mount Weather.
Mount Weather. Where's that located? I'm not familiar with that one.
That's off of Route 7 going into
Oh, okay. I believe I've been through that area before. I'm just, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, it's
there,
basically it's just underground facilities that one there off of Route 7 towards Northern Virginia is they've claimed that it's been downgraded, so it's not used by anything but probably like FEMA or something along that lines. Um, the big that people should have is the fact that not only is our military having all these underground facilities and stuff, but you have independent corporations out there that are doing it. That's where people need to be concerned.
yep.
Exactly, Berryville. That's correct.
And, and, and and they're probably even working with the government in many aspects too. Many of them are. That way, either
Mhm.
or can have plausible deniability if something would happen.
Hmm,
Yep.
very interesting.
No, it's all amazing, intriguing, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen mid-year when they come out with that Spielberg's coming out with that new movie, Disclosure.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I actually
I
just recently heard
I
about that.
that there's so much going on right now that they want to keep the public off kilter. They want to keep them, they want to keep a certain sect of the public riveted to the edge of their seats, that hang on every word that the government says or private industry says that are the elites, and that every time they see a shadow shift around them, they're seeing aliens. It all comes down. You have to ask yourself, what about Project Bluebeam? You know, that is, that's right up there. That's a legitimate project that the government, the military, has been working on with the shadow government to basically hoax an alien invasion. That's what the whole Miami Mall thing was about back a couple of
Hmm.
How much of a hoax would it be, though? That'd be my question. Could it be another
Well, I mean,
avenue for
they've
them to
always
actually
been
come
here.
out full disclosure? Huh? What's that,
Yeah,
William?
they've always been here though, David and Daniel and Melissa,
No.
and everybody in
Yeah.
chat.
What?
It's nothing. I don't think an intelligent life form is going to come to a bunch of idiots running it into the ground. Okay, and I say that as politely as possible. Okay, but it's like if I was an alien and I was in a flying saucer and I came across the Earth and I actually observed it from a distance for any more than an hour, I would actually UFO and I would fly the hell out of here because there's no intelligent life here. Okay, as far as an advanced
Pretty
race
much.
goes, there is no intelligent life here. Okay, so what we're dealing with, I believe, is a species of beings that have been here the whole time.
Yeah.
I really do. And when you think about it, you think about the whole USO thing where they're spotting all these underground facilities around the world and the oceans and stuff, and USO coming out of the water, you know. To me, it makes
What?
sense because we have legends of ant people, okay, which you can talk to the Dene people and the Zuni and the Hopi about the ant people legends. We have legends of Sasquatch uh, tribal affiliations and stuff, and I mean, you'd be amazed at what is actually here and not coming from 18 billion light years away. You know, that's just my
Yeah. Well,
opinion.
yeah. Well, they wouldn't have to be that far away. Actuality, they could be a lot closer than that. They've just a few light years away. They discovered possible habitable planets. But if you take everything into account from the past, well, it's right in line with what William was saying. I don't think he could dismiss it all. I mean, there's just too much there. People can go one way or the other as far as trying to explain it away, but there's some things you can't explain away. Uh, there's too
Yep.
much history here, and if, I think if everything is true, they've been here. You're going to
Yeah.
have your good ones, you're going to have your bad ones. There's
Exactly.
people that talk about like Federation that these aliens belong to. Uh,
Yep.
but again, there's so much out there that a lot of people can't make sense of it. So they're going to stay in a little bubble until the bubble gets popped. And they were talking
Exactly.
on the news tonight. A couple of countries is instituting that they're doing a study now to where when the disclosure finally does come about, what kind of economic and religious impact it's going to have on society.
Hmm.
A lot of people's going to
Exactly.
freak out. A lot of people
Yeah.
won't because I mean they're expecting it. I mean they think like we do. Uh, but there's going to be those once their bubble gets popped, they're going to freak out. Now, what kind of chaos is that going to cause? Financially, economically, neighbor against neighbor. I don't want to go down that path, but there's going to be people that's going to freak out because they're not going to be able. It's going to be hard for them to be taken out of the norm. And all this, if you read the Bible for what the Bible's read, I mean, what was written in the Bible, put two and two together, you can make a correlation between the Bible and the sayings to what's going on
Exactly.
now and what went on in the past. So if
Exactly.
so and
And
so
when
flew
you look
off
at
in the sky in a chariot of fire, what was that
Mhm.
chariot of fire? Back then, it was
Yeah.
the way the people were able to describe a chariot of fire. But I'm not going to tell you, it's not a chariot being pulled by a horse that wheels caught on fire and flew up in the air. That did not happen. They explained it the way the abilities that they had to explain it back then for what they know as life was back then. I mean, it's all
Exactly.
in the Bible too. So how
Yeah.
far are we going to take it? I mean, I'm not an atheist by any means. Okay, I believe in the Bible. I believe the way things happen and stuff like that. But something tells me in the back of my mind there's a marriage there somewhere along the way. If not, it's always been there.
Well, when you're
And we have
talking
to
when you're
elaborate more on
talking
that
that
ourselves.
marriage, you're talking ancient history all the way back to Sumerian tablets,
Yep.
and even beyond then. The Sumerian text and tablets were the first written language called cuneiform, and we're talking on their Sumerian kings list. They had several kings on there that were basically governors of whatever region they were in for literally thousands and thousands of years. The same individual. So, and we're talking way before pre-flood, pre-biblical flood era. Um, so, are we talking aliens? Are we talking fallen angels? Are we talking Anunnaki all being basically the same? Are we talking descendants of a race of beings that were here before humanity? Um, who knows? I
Well,
mean,
I'll make
yeah, there's
mention to
there's
this
so
real
much.
quick. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say I've been seeing more than one post from different sources with this whole alien talk and this and that. even people from the churches are saying, okay, if they're admitting that there's actually this and that, people saying, okay, they're demons. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, that's a fact. We don't know that, but that's what some people are really believing, that they are some kind of demons. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
What
uh,
to see to me when I correlate it with my ancestors and stuff and our history, our oral tradition of what something evil and malevolent is, I have to correlate it with the term trickster. Okay. And that's what I've been trying to explain to people all these years now is when you're dealing with a entity, sometimes you're not dealing with flesh and blood. Sometimes you're dealing with what I call the Nephilim virus, the mind virus, okay, which is another way to describe demonic possession, okay? And I believe that anything living can be inherently possessed by evil, okay? Anything, animal and human, okay? And even other unknown species. So, when we're talking about, demons and stuff, we're not talking far off of the truth because every culture in the world has them. You got the jinn, you have the tricksters, you have, the demons, you have reptilian lore around the world, you have the Naga, you know, there's so many different things that can be described and classified as a demon in one hand. And, another hand, if you look at it another way, sometimes people will see it and the only thing they can think of is cryptid, or something alien, So, I mean, it's all the same thing to me sometimes, you know what I mean?
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean, like
No,
oh no, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
No, just real quick, just biblically speaking, like I said, I brought up the thought that some people are saying that aliens could be demons. Well, religiously, biblically speaking, I mean, I personally can't really agree to that completely because, all right, I'm trying not to. I'm kind of lost my train of thought where I was
Well,
going
I
with
know
that.
what you're saying, and I think there's both types myself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Yeah.
part of what I guess I was going to say is now. Do you recall the video I uploaded of the one gentleman speaking? He was, he gave me permission to share his video, and I put it on my YouTube channel. He's a minister. He's an ordained minister, and
Yeah,
and
yeah, the young
he went
man,
on to
very
talk
well
about
spoken.
all the. Yeah, he went on to talk about yes, Bigfoot being real, believing it's being to be flesh and blood. Then he also went on to say all these other things that people are seeing. He believes, and his personal, honest, strong. He was very strongly opinionated on this. That different, seeing all these different things that people claim to see, he believes that could be a demonic or evil relation. But then he also went on to say, I do recall in talking about the universe, how God created all this. We have so much that we don't even know about. But he went on to say that he does believe in extraterrestrial. But, I guess the way I recall him saying it, the way he worded it, he didn't believe in it that it was an evil or a bad sense. But, if that makes any sense at
Yeah.
all.
Well,
So,
even when you're dealing with angelic beings, even in the Bible, you have your good angelic beings and your bad.
right, that's
Even
true.
the archangel, who was it? Namael was cast out of heaven by God, the Creator, for you know just because at the time he was so close to the forces of Lucifer fighting during that time in the heavenly battle, that he accidentally got cast out. And he actually recorded some events that Lucifer and the ones that were swiped by the tail of Lucifer. A third of the angels fell with him, and to make a long story short, he actually recorded some events down because Namael used to be a scribe for God. There's several angelic scribes. The closest one to God per se, in a lot of the biblical text and missing apocrypha, is is Phaneol. Okay, and he's the fourth angel of the archangels in line, and he's the only one to ever see the face of God. Okay, so we're dealing with when we're dealing with something that is considered angelic. You got to consider that the devil and demons are pretty comparable along the same lines, wise as that kind of a state of being. Okay, now do we know for a fact that any type of species of alien could be demonic in any way? It's like David said, and you said, we have our good and our bad. We have our dark and our light. We have our duality in this world. And you can't have one without the other. So, of course, I would say you have your demonic ones and you have your really good ones. So,
yeah, kind of like yin and yang, right?
exactly.
Well, I've seen a couple of programs myself to where those that have supposedly they claim to have knowledge of a lot more of what's going on out there, that the biggest concept of the most talked about, the grays, is not what people think. They're not the prominent dominant alien species. The grays would be down here on number one on a one scale of 1 to 10. And for whatever reason, they're being utilized for whatever purposes by other aliens. Uh, they're not high on that totem pole when it comes to the other alien species. That's what I've heard a couple of other people talk about. I don't know if Williams heard anything about that or not, but I found that kind of intriguing. You always hear about the grays.
There's a hierarchy. Yeah, there's some kind of a hierarchy, is what I've heard when it comes to alien species. I've heard that the gray aliens that they've spotted are more of like a hybrid of synthoid and living being, not 100% living biological. They've been reported that there was an incident down in where was it, in I want to say Mississippi, back in the 70s, where the two fishermen were fishing off the pier, and they said that these gray aliens came at them out of a ship and took them on the ship. I can't remember their names for the life of me. I'm sure somebody in the chat does. But it was so long ago that, in fact, I think they're both deceased now. I'm not sure, but they described the gray aliens as being 3 to 4 feet tall and having crab-like hands. Okay, claws. Okay, in other words, no fingers. Just claws. Okay, so could that be considered a demon? Yeah, I mean, I would imagine so, but did they do nefarious, evil things to them? I guess it depends on how you look at it. If a species is here to genetically research humanity without humanity realizing that they're living right here with them in the waters or underground, you have to ask yourself, has humanity been here the whole time? I don't think we have. I think when it comes down to it, that when the Creator created us, that us to be different from them. Okay, to have the ability to realize right from wrong and good from evil. Okay, and maybe some of these beings can't determine what's good and what's bad.
Exactly. Well, when you mentioned the USOs a while ago for underwater, I know there's been reports of sonar tracking things they couldn't explain, picking up sounds they couldn't explain. Things moving
200
underwater.
miles an hour underwater.
Yeah, they could not. That we don't even have the capability of doing. But you hear more about the spacecraft than you do about the USOs. And there's some that claim that there's like 5 or 6 major locations around the Earth where could actually be bases that humans actually go down to interact with, i.e., aliens.
Yeah, the 7. I guess it's said to be the deepest sections of ocean around the world is where there's supposed to be 7 humongous underwater bases for these entities to live. And another one, if you consider Admiral Byrd and what he did in the 1940s, flying into the North Pole,
Yep.
in the opening there, he came across the crystalline city with tall whites, okay, that looked Nordic, okay, but they were said to be 7 feet tall and Nordic looking, okay, and not far after that, we had the whole Roswell incident in 1947. So it's just funny how it all coordinates to. It's like a build-up process,
It was all a hot weather balloon. I'm just joking.
Well, that movie, The Abyss, was that too far off base when they made that movie?
Yeah, I was just telling David about that.
The Counters of the Third Kind. Contact.
I love that.
Is that
I
off
love that
base?
movie.
They're telling what went on? Are they describing what actually took place?
E.T.
Yeah, I've heard
Well,
rumors from other sources that movie, kind of the third kind, was actually saying that real stuff like that actually did happen, which it's interesting because I like that movie.
Well, ask yourself this too, Daniel. Ask yourself this, guys. When you're dealing with Encounters of the Third Kind, that was filmed on the Devil's Tower. Okay,
Right.
for the most part, it interacted with that area. Well, what have we as indigenous people been telling people for thousands of years, that at one time there were giant trees here and they reached the heavens, okay? And the star people would come down every now and then and meet us at these trees, okay? And we would do things for them and they would do things for us. And then you have the whole biblical thing of the when Lucifer was cast out of heaven, before the flood, these God sent down these angels to cut down these prominent trees that grew from the ground and reached to the heavens. So Lucifer and the fallen and the giants and the Nephilim be able to climb back up, like the Tower of Babel, okay? Wouldn't be able to get to the higher level of God, okay? Now we have to ask ourselves, the reason things are so complicated nowadays is because we have different cultures around the world, different languages, different descriptive things for things. When it comes, like with all the reported Bigfoot sightings all around the world, how many hundreds of names do they have? Think about it. Okay. Even here in America, we have probably close to 100 different names for it. Okay. I've got a t-shirt with about 50 of them on it that I used to sell, and it's crazy to think that we are separated by belief, by religion, and by language around the world for a reason. They don't want people to make the connections to these things. They want people to just leave it alone. So are we dealing with a certain being, an alien being that's controlling this? Like everybody talks about reptoids and the reptilian, beings that are here, being, part of the royal family and all that. And they talked about King Charles being part of the Vlad the Impaler bloodline and the descendant, and actually owns rights to the castle in Romania. I mean, there's all kinds of weirdness going on right now. Maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe that maybe what people describe nowadays as a reptilian should be considered a devil back in the old days. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. If Vlad the Impaler was based off of anything true on the movie Dracula Untold, that would be pretty cool. I love that movie, by the way. They never made a sequel to it, but yeah, he was known as Vlad the Impaler, which became a major vampire. That was awesome.
Think about what Roseanne Barr said. Think about what Roseanne Barr said when she came out on it was I believe it was Tucker Carlson that interviewed her, and she came right out and said everybody dealing with Hollywood are vampires. They're blood-sucking, flesh-eating vampires. And she still says that to this day, So, I mean, and she's not the only one. Maybe there's some truth. Maybe there is something about this adrenochrome thing that's going around about people, kids being terrorized, and maybe it's part of that whole, I mean, it's possible that it's all connected, but somebody, more than just a couple people like myself need to research this stuff. We need to get in and see exactly what is transpiring. Somebody's got to make sense of this, because otherwise they're just going to keep deeming people like us completely crazy. So,
well, it could also be that they're keeping everybody confused, like one big spider web that people's trying to dissect of what's going on. Because if there's good ones and there's bad ones, you got the bad ones controlling the Hollywood, maybe what's going on. I mean, more and more reports. Kids, my lands. I mean, I'm going down the rabbit hole here, but if you follow the actual news and what's going on, kids and young adults that just come up missing for no reason, and now you've got, i.e., sacrifices being talked about, the e-files being talked about jerky in the e-files. Who wants? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I think they want to keep people divided for a specific purpose. Until that purpose comes, we're not going to know what's going on. And it could have been deals that were struck with the bad ones.
What's the one thing that we used to say in the past? We used to say, "United we stand, divided we fall."
Divided we fall.
Exactly. And I hope to God that's not what's going on with these kids and stuff like that, but there's been people talked about it. There was a woman, I can't remember exactly where it was, a few years back, when we went to one of those parties, and she come running out, telling the people out on the streets of what she was seeing inside, and then she comes up missing. Never heard from again.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't want to open their eyes.
Reported it to the police. Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
She was a model.
The woman that was in the airline?
She was very prominent. No, she was a South American model, and she came out of a hotel where they were having this big fancy thing for some elitists, and she started screaming, they're eating people, they're eating babies in there, they're not human. And
the only reason that came up here recently is because they started bringing up the e-files again, and then started looking at different pockets of stuff of what's been happening to try to validate some of the things they've been reading in the e-files. I mean, it's scary if you think about it. It really is. It's scary if you think about it. If people need to open their minds up and be receptive to what's going on, but do your own analyzing, make your own conclusion. But don't shut your mind off to what's going on. That's the only way we're going to make any headway as far as for your own sanity, pretty much, as far as what's going on. Because if the bomb does drop to show the truth about what may be going on, a lot of people are not going to be able to handle it. I mean, I don't know what path that's going to take, but I mean, it's scary. And you get people missing in the woods. You got the 411 situations and stuff like that that's been going on now for decades, probably even longer than decades.
Get me going on that, David. Huh? That's a whole subject with me. I've done my research on the I've got a whole thing to.
And I know you did a whole thing on, and you're probably still looking into it, but you also did a whole thing on Native American women that's been coming up missing. And,
I'm still working on that too to this day.
Why? I mean, nobody hears from them again, whether it's Native American women or whites or blacks, anybody going deep in the out there in the forest and the woods, and kids, and they're never heard from again. Nothing's ever found, or they may show up 2 or 3 weeks later, a couple of months later. To them, no time's passed, but everybody else they've been gone. Where the hell you been? It's just like one big conglomerate out there, just wanting to keep people's minds shut down, or those that have the open mind call them conspiracy theorists. But now over the years,
Exactly.
the one that they've been calling conspiracy theorists, how many of that stuff's now come true? A lot.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
remember in the
Yeah.
movie Men in Black where they were using the National Enquirer magazine as their research information to go figure out where the aliens were so they could go to them and stuff and gather them back up if they
Yeah.
went out of their territory. What happened with the
Mhm.
lady that was a passenger on that airline? What was it, last year or the year before last? Where she was
Tiffany
saying that
Gomez.
okay, that's the same one y'all were just talking about?
No.
No, okay.
No,
I don't
no.
know whatever
Well,
happened with her. I know that they had to turn the plane back around or something and take her
well,
off
she
the
wasn't the
plane.
only one. She wasn't the
But
only one though that
yeah,
was
she was
saying that there were
poor.
demons, that they weren't human. There
And she
was
was
the British
truly
boxer.
terrified.
Yeah, there was a British boxer that also did it. There was also a Chinese woman and a Chinese man that did it too on the plane. And then there was a couple others. And then you have the whole, you're getting into, we're getting into an area that is just really bizarre because we don't know if these individuals were actually coerced into doing that on purpose to take away from something else occurring, kind
As a
of like
distraction.
deflection. Yeah.
Yep.
So, we really don't know. But yeah, I mean, the state uses people all the time. We in the military know that for a fact. Okay. Um, it's crazy to think that everything is based off of evil sect of whatever you want to call them, the cabal, the shadow government, reptilians, demons, fallen angels. To me, I lump them all together, and that's just me. That's just easier for me at this point in time to throw them all in a bowl and mix them together as one big old bowl of mixed nuts. Okay, because that's what they are. Okay, and I'm not the first one to say that. Okay, but there's a certain few of us that have gotten in our lives that we have faced things consistently our whole lives for a reason, and that reason is starting to come to floration, to be disclosed, and people are starting to wake up. They're starting to understand some of the stuff that we talked about all those years ago is coming true. You know.
Yeah. I don't know what direction it's going to be taking as time goes, but I'm just keeping my mind open to anything, and especially with what we've been experiencing in our last couple of campouts. Um, it's just until people get out and experience certain things, regardless of what aspect it's at, and get off the couch and put the coffee cup down to see what's out there, you're not going to change any minds with stuff like that. They're going to be shutting people down. They're going to call you crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. But
Mm.
I always go back to what keeps my mind open is I always go back to the concept: if we can be, why can't they be? We are here. We're
Yeah,
experiencing what we're
exactly.
experiencing. They say space is
Yeah,
space is infinite. Wrap your mind around that space never ends. Some says, well, there may be a wall out there.
yeah,
Well, then again, if there's a wall out there somewhere, what's beyond the wall? And the basic
exactly.
concept is, how did everything begin? How did it begin? When there was nothing in the beginning. Well, gases came together. Well, where did the gas come from? Where did the molecules come
Well,
from to be able to?
Well, there's an
It's so,
Alpha and
or,
Omega, and his name is God.
well,
it's
that's the
just
truth, though. I mean, when you think about
Yeah.
it, you have to have, everybody's afraid of the cryptids. Everybody's afraid of the aliens. Everybody's afraid of the demons, and all that in the world. And you know, my thing is, why are you fearing something that was created, the
Exactly.
creator.
The
Because
creator. Exactly.
it's
Thank you.
ridiculous
Yeah.
to think it's ridiculous to think that mankind has fallen so far that we are afraid of our own shadow, but yet we don't fear the God that created us.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well,
I just
mankind
can't
better be
fathom that.
careful. Mankind better be careful because they're turning their lives over to AI. They're turning all of our lives over to AI.
Mhm.
And I've been seeing here they've been AI
Yeah.
has been is now in the phase of training itself to learn. AI is training itself to have its own, i.e., religion. I think William, you put something out on that one. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
do we have another daggone that Terminator movie coming up?
Yeah, because
I
it's
mean,
learning.
if it's
Well,
learning and it's training
here's the
itself,
thing.
then it could train
Here's the
itself to
thing I
take
tell
ownership. Somebody
everybody.
better have a kill
You
switch.
know, when I tell everybody to question everything, I mean question.
Got to.
That's one thing that I always do. I cover my day, even when I'm dealing with the cryptids, even when I'm dealing with the UFO and alien thing, even when I'm dealing with the religion. Okay, I always question every. We are here to obtain answers and knowledge. Okay, plain and simple. That's why God, the Creator, gave us free will. Otherwise, we'd be robotic and ant-like and hive-like. Okay, and we're not. Okay, so many reports of aliens are reported as hive-like. Okay, controlled beings from a central, logical type of a being. Okay, we take and we are given the ability to discern, like the Bible says. Okay, and discerning is something that you literally have to teach yourself your faith in the Creator to develop it. Okay, and I know that the young man talked about discernment the last time that he was on, the young pastor, and he's a very, very bright young man. I respect him greatly. But for these beings have always been here, and we give them not the respect that they deserve. We don't make them into idols. Okay, we give them their due inheritance to their right to be here. Okay, and I'm not talking, but I'm talking other beings like Bigfoot and Dogman and lizard people and stuff like that. Other beings like aliens that live here. Okay, because we just think that when we call something star people, star beings, star children, um, we're labeling it that because we assumed back in those days that they came from the stars, but we saw them descend from the sky. We didn't see them from the stars. We saw them descend from the sky. It's like in Peru and other areas of South America, they talk about the constellations and the stars that come down and they transform into giant beings. And they ask things of the indigenous people. And if the indigenous people don't give them and answer them, give them what they ask for, they turn things around on those people, and some bad things happen to those indigenous people. That's the stories of it around the world when it comes to indigenous cultures. Australia, cultures in Africa, cultures in America, South America, cultures up with the Greenland area, over in China. Okay, so it's like around the world can't be wrong, but the only thing that divides the knowledge from being combined and said this is what it is because they're separated from religion, they're separated from language, they're separated, they're separated by landmass. There's all these that you have to take in account as in any investigation. And when we get into the whole missing people thing, like the alien abduction thing, people that are missing completely and are never to be seen again are actually being uh, unalived by wildlife or Bigfoot carrying them. Some of it might be, but I think there's a percentage of them that when the Bible talks about the rapture and other things going on, what's to say that that type of stuff isn't happening currently? I mean, think
Right.
about all the millions of people every year in America that go missing.
Yeah. I want to touch on that just a little bit real quick. Now, I agree with what you just said, but now it was brought up. I think you just said something, and then I saw something earlier in the live chat. Somebody mentioned about missing 411, Paul Pilates. All right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
probably there's Paul Pilates fans are probably going to hate me for saying this, but bringing Bigfoot into the whole scene on the whole 411, the missing 411, it wasn't always about Bigfoot on the
Exactly.
topic scene. When the big thing is, again, I'll probably have some people not going to agree with me on this. That's fine. I'm just speaking the way I look at things. But when people found out that Bigfoot sells, hey, let me integrate. Let me add this in. Hey, well, Bigfoot might be responsible for all these missing 411 people. All these people missing. They threw Bigfoot into the scene because Bigfoot sells. So, Bigfoot's
Mm-hmm.
a big money scheme. We know Bigfoot exists. We know
Yeah.
Bigfoot's real, but everybody's
Well, that's what.
you know weighed in
Yeah.
on the whole subject.
That's that's why I don't really even discuss Bigfoot anymore. I mean, to me, big dogmen are real. I mean, I sorry. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have anything I got to prove to anybody. One fact, because of my encounters, my whole life with them. You know, doing
Hmm.
my vision quest, my humble, and having them gift me things, from completing the force, and I mean, to me, they're just another species. They're just another horse people that mankind refuses.
Yeah.
And so what if they don't live above ground? They travel in certain avenues to stay away from humanity. I wish I could stay away from humanity, because humanity
Right.
is getting bad. It's getting bad,
Yeah.
real bad.
and it's ridiculous. I mean, how many times do we have to turn on the TV or the radio or read the newspaper or look at our cell phone news information and see about people being unalived, people being coming up missing, and blood trails coming out of their homes. And so I'm talking about the whole Guthrie thing from Tucson, Arizona. How many times do we have to see shootings in schools, shootings in public places before humanity wakes up and realizes that they're doing this to keep us separated? They're controlling, and I don't think when you get into the whole perspective of violence in the world, I don't blame humanity as a whole for it. I believe that they are some of them are actually under that hive mind type of a mentality, and that's where that violent outburst comes, and what's more
Yeah.
violent than war, and who gets stuck going into war but us poor saps that aren't wealthy are on the front lines of war fighting for the rich bastards that stand behind us, and in their white castles. And it's it's
Hmm.
it's not meant to be that way. Okay, and I'm very honest. I've seen stuff. David and Melissa, you guys know you've seen stuff. You know, it's it's not supposed to be that way. Okay, and when we are under orders in the military to do certain things that we don't want to do human wise, we are led to believe that if we don't do it, our lives are over. We're going to go pound rocks somewhere the rest of our lives. And, you know, humanity isn't supposed to be that way. Okay. And you can take and learn a lot from the forest people. You can learn a lot from, like I've said previously, Daniel, from you can learn so much just by watching a pack of wolves, spend an entire month with them from a distance and just observe them. See the kind of loyalty they have, the kind of unconditional love that a pack of wolves has, the kind of protective nature that they have for their pack. That's what humanity is supposed to do.
Yeah,
And we
I've been
fail.
close to a pack of coyote, but not wolves. Yeah,
Well, the thing
I
about the
don't.
wolf aspect, I wish people would take more into account
Mhm.
how they that type of pack mentality survives. Because if you look around us now, it's even more prevalent today. But people would just sit back, look at what's going on, try to put pieces together, and it starts from the top. You got a certain amount of people, not that many, up on the higher echelon controlling everything below them. Everybody below them
Yeah.
falls in line with the ones controlling them, and it filters all the way down to us. Look at the parties we
Yeah.
got now going head to head against each other. One party is out killing people, hurting people, burning cities down, and so on and so forth. And the party has not come against that. You got the other party sitting
Yep.
back on their hands, just observing, not doing anything. But I guarantee you, if they did start doing something, then that party that's creating all this chaos now is going to say, well, here, see, we told you. They just try to shift the blame. If people will pay attention when they talk about
Exactly.
one world order, digitizing all currency, uh, AI is coming out more and more prevalent, taking more and more jobs. And how it's filtering down is by 2030, 2035. Just take Social Security for an example. If something isn't done with, forget about sending billions of dollars overseas. I can't comprehend a lot of that. But for our own people here in the U.S., in a few years, Social Security may not become dissolvent, but you could have a reduction for those that's on Social Security and going on Social Security up to 25% of what you're getting or going to get.
Yeah.
AI, and that's a lot of that's due
Yeah.
to no people being in the workforce because you got to pay.
Yeah,
There's design where you pay
Yeah.
in to support those that's retired. Upcoming
yeah,
people go to work, they
Mhm.
pay it. It's no longer going to be like that. The workforce is getting shorter, shorter, and shorter. What's that going to lead to?
Yep.
It's going to lead to the sheep effect. Because for people out there that can't work, who they got to rely on? They got to rely on the government. Now the
yeah,
government's got control over
Mhm.
them. I mean,
yeah,
people have to
And
stand
what do they
back and
call
look at
that? They
what's
call
going
that
on outside their daily life. What's that? Do I?
what kind of they call that a universal income is what they call that.
yeah. Hey guys,
That's the people
there's
that
something
won't
that,
work.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
Or
go
can't
ahead.
work because there ain't no jobs out there due to AI. So
yep,
Yeah.
they're caught in that trap. So you got people not being able to work and don't want to work, depending on the government. Now the government's got more control over the people, and then you got two classes of people now. You got us down here, then you got those that control here that's going to have everything. Their lives ain't going to be affected one daggone way or the other. And then you got the people above them controlling what's going on around global, as far as that. If it comes to that, I know that's what. If you look at what's going on, all indications that's what they're striving for because they're talking about that more and more and more. One world government,
Hmm.
one world control. It's beyond me. I mean, I could go on. I could keep rattling about this and not make any sense here in a few minutes because I get so frustrated when I think about what's going on, and then I look at how people are dumbed down so much they don't
hmm,
realize what's going on. They haven't got a clue of what's
Yep.
going on. They don't want to believe what's going on. They
I
may.
agree with you.
I ran into a
Exactly.
guy at Walmart here about 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago. $200,000. I didn't run into him. I heard him over talking to one of his friends. Let off from a $200,000 a year job. I don't know what he was doing as far as career wise, but he could not find
I'd like
another
to know.
job, and he was a greeter at Walmart when they had the greeter standing there at the door. That's what it's coming to, but it's getting more and more prevalent. Some people may be in their comfort zone now. What's going to be like a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road? It's a scary thought. What's it going to be like for my kids or grandkids when they get older?
Yep.
Are they going to be servant to a government? China does that.
I like
China grades
I
the
like
kids
what
when they go into
the
school.
posting.
Yeah,
I like the thing that was posted that Daniel posted here about David Pillai. I don't think
Well, that's what.
he's come out
Yeah.
directly and said that it's linked to it, but I think he's insinuated it over time.
Yes. That's what I wanted to
So
address. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly what you just said, William. You pretty much said it very clearly because that's why I have it up here. I wanted to address this before it gets too far back track. Yeah, so yeah, he's asking, has he ever come out saying that Sasquatch may be responsible for some of his experiences? Yes, my response to that would be yes, indirectly. But if you look at who he is and what he's involved with, he is using his Mission 411 platform, his series, his books, his videos. He's joined and collaborated with all these Bigfoot forums and conferences to put his book out there, his series, his videos out there, in this platform under Bigfoot. Again, like I talked about earlier, it's a selling platform. Bigfoot sells. We all know Bigfoot sells. I honestly believe. Now, with that being said, let me say I honestly believe there's a positive platform. If you're going to use Bigfoot to sell, there's a positive way to use that. Then there's also a negative side of things. You know, like me, I put my books out there. A lot of my books are based off of research. A lot of it's based off of field. All my the first few books I put out there are research field guides. Basically guiding people along, especially newbies, enthusiasts, and whatnot, to give them step by step guidelines. Now, with what I did recently, I expanded that and I advanced that, and I've actually dug pretty deep with my latest book, A Trail of the Unknown. I'll speak about that real quick here shortly. But
okay.
so yeah. With that being said, yeah, I think the way between what William said and what I just explained, yes, if you take the time to look at the way these people get involved, okay, yeah, I'm not saying Bigfoot did that, but hey, I'm pushing it out there on these Bigfoot groups. I'm pushing it out there at these conferences. Hey, yes, I'm saying Bigfoot did it, but I'm not saying it verbally, So, um,
Yeah.
but again, on the positive aspect, yes, I've been promoting my book because it's new. I got Trail of the Unknown, A Journey Beyond Truth. Yes, a lot of it speaks about my journey with the research, of why I got involved. A lot of it talks about my personal experiences, but I also go on to talk about other experiences in the book, from eyewitnesses and people that I've investigated and interviewed. And we get it pretty deep on talking about, you know, objectively. I speak about a lot of different things. William, are you still there? Okay, he disappeared, but I think he's still there.
He's probably getting
I'm listening.
off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, okay, yeah. So I mean,
Still here.
I want I put my books out there. My like Trail of the Unknown. I really did dig deep into that one. I get into a lot of deep details, deeper than I've ever been with the research. I speak. I really go beyond talking about experiences and what people are seeing and claiming out there. And it talks about the truth behind a lot of this. So and then I got the Bigfoot Zone, the other book I have on that, the Bigfoot Zone. It's a comprehensive research guide doctrine. Now that one there is more of a direct field guide, but it breaks everything down on step by step on procedures to follow through with a lot of your research methods, and it does reference on more than one occasion in the book. It does reference, even though it's a field guide, an advanced field guide, it does go and reference my Trail of the Unknown, the way I break everything down and get into a lot of deep details. It questions a lot of things, and it makes you look at things the way with an open
Question
mind, I should
everything.
say. Yeah, it gives everybody it gives the reader an open mind but at the same time, not to fall through with, you know, don't fall prey to deception, basically, and keep an objective mind, but with an open mind at the same time, if that makes any sense. So that's why I wanted to touch base on that. And, you know, and like I said, back to the whole Paul Pilates thing. I don't have nothing against the man. I never met the man. I never spoke to the man, but I've watched a lot of his work exposed and put out there, and I've learned about his details. A lot of people like to share stuff and address stuff to me related to him. I mean, yeah, there's that possibility. That's one thing I always say. There's always that possibility. But you got people like him. He's one of many that uses Bigfoot as a marketing tool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, there's a positive way to put yourself out there when it comes to that. And that's just my 2 cents. So again, I'm not.
Well,
hating
I
the guy.
agree.
You got
I
them
never
into,
met the guy.
yeah, you got them into Bigfoot thing like that, like what you just said, and you got that in the church.
Yeah.
You got
Oh
people.
yeah.
That's why I'm very skeptical about churches I go to. I go in, I psychoanalyze what's going on before I decide to even become a member. Because you get the feel of a church when you go in there. Are they here just to raise money for the? When I see preachers driving around in Maseratis and living in mansions, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, that's. I'm not going to go down that one. No. Okay, I said enough on that aspect. But the church we go to now, it's more of a home type church. Uh, 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 it's not. They're not out there just to try to take every penny out of your pocket.
Yeah.
As long as you
Well,
feel that way,
what did Jesus Christ do with the money changers?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, you do have a
Exact
voice.
overturned the tables and threw them out of the temple.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different. I mean, for the reasoning. I mean, if we for those who don't understand that, people are using the church to make money. You know,
Exactly.
and that ain't what the church was
Tithing.
made for. And Jesus'
Tithing.
point, if people didn't understand the outrage that Jesus had overturning the tables, and you know, you're turning my house into a house of thieves. You know, this is a house of prayer. You know, you know,
Yeah.
so a den of thieves is what he called
Yep.
it. So, yep. So, hey guys, here's another question right here. Um, what do you think is going on in these national parks? There's a lot we could talk about that on right there.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that's a whole nother
every
podcast there, brother.
yeah, we can go down a lot of different avenues on this one. I believe. I mean, if we're referring to the missing people that people turn up missing in the national parks, I mean, there's so many different suspects we could throw out there on this one.
Yeah.
The Appalachian
I
Trail.
throw this out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I throw this out there to everybody too, though. When it comes to Native history, oral tradition, and stories and legends that we talk about, the first thing that comes to mind when you about missing people is the Anasazi people of the Southwest, and you know, there's things out there that um, things that talk about and stuff like that, and gateways, and I'm a firm believer that those things exist only because I've and spent a lot of time delving into that. In fact, I have found, um in my opinion, in the book talks about the three gateways in each cardinal. You know, I've actually found over half of those gateways. And, you know, in my opinion, that is of our world has these gateways in them. Now, a gateway is different from a portal. Okay. Portals can be mirrors, portals can be water, portals can be a an angelic opening. Okay. Portals can be made from devices, sound frequency, and all that. Portals are small and they are mobile. Okay. Whereas, as described in the Book of Enoch, are massive. Okay, and it's said that they have an angel posted at in all cardinal directions. Okay, and I have literally found gateway that stems from the Grand Canyon area all the way up into almost all the way over into Northern California. And I have displayed those maps previously on my channel. So are people disappearing because of portals? I think it's possible. People walk somewhere, into the actually by themselves. They run more of a risk of having things occur supernaturally and paranormal wise. And I think we've all experienced it. You experience sound, the loss of birds singing and crickets chirping and noises of a stream close by disappear. There's been reports of farmers walking out in their fields that have several hundred acres, and they disappear. There was a big instance, I think it was in Oklahoma, where a farmer back in the 1940s or 1950s, was walking out in his field, and he literally walked into a portal that opened up and disappeared. People could hear his voice, but they couldn't see him. So I think so. So could that be a reason for people missing in back areas of national parks? Yes. Could there also be a type of a creature out there that is taking them? I mean, in my own culture, we have what we call the Shunka. Okay, and this kind of a creature is described as a huge canine. Okay, and it used to carry off the dogs, and it used to carry off children and stuff. But my father taught me that the Shunka is more than just a giant wolf. The Shunka was able to snap its joints and its legs and its hind legs, and it stand upright. Okay, don't ask me how he knew that. I have no idea. My father was his own man, a multiple Purple Heart veteran from World War II. So I took him at his word, and so do creatures exist like Ozark Howler? I mean, does it exist? Could people becoming missing? Yeah, I believe they could, just like any other wildlife attack could. Okay, but do I believe Bigfoot is carrying off people? I think there might be a couple instances in history where it happened. And he got drug off up in Canada. I believe it was
yeah,
up in the Rocky Mountains in Canada.
Yeah,
and, but does it happen all? Yeah, I don't think it happens all the time. So I'm just, it's just me, my opinion. But there are wild creatures out there that exist that we have not come to realize. Back in the day, they called them what? What did they call them? They called them the Shunka was called. Oh man, I can't remember. Natural history labeled them as of a wolf. I can't remember the name of it now, but Oricon to me. Exactly.
Ringdocus.
Does that sound familiar?
Ringdocus
no, it's
or Docus or something. It was the Rocky Mountain hyena, legendary wolf hyena-like creature from the Montana folklore, the Shunka.
You're right. That's exactly what I'm talking about, the Shunka.
Uh-huh.
And in my old dialect of the Lakota language, okay, it means basically you're describing a canine. So when we talk about things of cryptids that are described as dog-like or wolf-like or hyena-like, that have the ability to stand on two legs and then run on all fours and maneuver that way from four-legged to two-legged, I think description for that. I really do. And in their legends, they would carry off people. So, it's not far fetched. Could they be responsible for some missing people? Yes. Do I believe Bigfoot could be carrying off people? Just maybe, occasionally, like once every, 5 years. But you don't hear about reports of them being violent toward they carry them off unless they were trying to somehow incorporate them into their nation, their Oyate.
Are they similar to the Shunkawarakon? Is it similar to Dogman? Someone in the group chat's asking.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I believe that the Shunkawarakon is the perfect description for the Dogman because, my father used to tell me, that these things would be able to snap their and stuff to stand upright. Okay. And 2 legs and run on 2 legs. And when they got tired on 2 legs, they would run on all fours. You have the same thing. Whenever he gets tired of running on 2 legs, what's he do? You have reports of them doing low crawls and running on all fours.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. It's not common. Yeah, it's not common, but I've heard of several different accounts of that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if they have the capability of doing it, why can't a Dogman? Just saying.
Yeah. You can't rule anything out. I mean, that's just too many possibilities out there. What it could or could not be. I mean, that's why I find it fascinating. Getting out there and doing what we do for the research part of it. I mean, I have experience 1/10 of what you guys have as far as that, but I know she's gone through a few things and whatnot. We had our encounters last summer with electrical and that light that was seen in the middle of the freaking woods, not that far from us, about 40 yards. We can't explain. I've never seen that before in my life. And it just went out. I mean, nobody there, nothing there. What generated that light? Was it a portal? I can't say. What was it under some kind of intelligence? I have no idea. It was there. Me and Daniel both seen it. And I think Pete might have seen it momentarily there too for about 4 or 5 seconds total time.
Yeah,
how long was that beforehand? I have no idea. But I mean, we've seen it. And from the time I've seen it and Daniel's seen it, 4 or 5 seconds roughly, that went out. Yeah. What was it? I mean, there's just so much out there that I mean, we can only tell people, what we experience, and they can do what they want with the information.
But well, the other thing is too, David. Do you recall some of the information I shared with you when I started doing some research about the area, the general area of Falks Run altogether? There was a long list and a conversation or an article or post that I came across. And it talks about the different folklore and the legends of the whole Falks Run area. And yes, it mentioned the sheep squatch. It also went on to mention various strange lights spotted throughout Falks Run in the woods. And some of those strange lights were seen around cemeteries, but also in the woods itself. Mm-hmm. I was kind of excited when I came across that. I was like, this is after we've had our visual, after we experienced what we did. So, that tells me just in that area alone, we're not the first ones to witness this. So this is awesome. Of course, if you also other research, there's been other phenomenons throughout the state of Virginia. There was a podcast I shared to you. I can't remember the guy's name, or it was down somewhere way down in Southwest Virginia or somewhere. I listened to a whole podcast one day when I was at work, and this guy experienced a lot of Bigfoot stuff, and he's seen strange orbs and stuff floating through the property related to it. And there's a history on that particular property that there was Civil War history there on top of that. So, which I found, yeah, I found it fascinating. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm a
I mean,
knower in that aspect. I mean, people say that they're a knower when they see a Bigfoot or whatever the case may be. But I mean, that's my first time seeing a light out there. I've heard stories,
right.
I've seen programs about it. Until you actually, I mean, it wasn't up off in the distance in the sky. It wasn't up in the trees. What fascinated me was about 40 yards roughly away, shoulder height, if that tall from us, 3 to 4 foot off the ground, and it was that close.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
it's just fascinating. I mean, I can't for it not being off up in the trees or in the sky. We could definitely rule out it wasn't an airplane.
No, not at all.
There's
Yeah.
Okay.
it wasn't a person walking around
And,
with a flashlight in the woods.
And,
We
and
were out
that
in
and
the
time
middle
of
of nowhere.
year, the foliage and everything was
um,
pretty thick too. So I mean, I know you describe it a little smaller. The way I like when I talk about it, based off of my perception and my visual of it, it was about the size of a basketball. I mean, the way I describe it. I mean, the way I remember seeing it, it was about the size of a basketball. It was pretty.
No, I don't.
I
Yeah.
mean, very visible. I mean, I don't know. Just the way I remember seeing it. But
Well,
it was.
again, when it flared up, it got about the size of a
did it
grapefruit or
look like
maybe a
this?
basketball.
Hold on, I can't make that out. Hold
No,
on.
it was
I
it
don't
was
know
a
if you
pure
guys can
white
see
light.
that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Things, these things are here. Let me see if I can show you better. Okay, these are those rounds and balls, metal spears that they've been seeing all around the globe. And this is one that was actually about the size. It's my
Yeah,
opinion,
that's the
guys,
way I
that
described
these
that.
things, yeah, these things could be extraterrestrial.
Exactly.
Terrestrial life forms that are here, that have been here all along, a form of AI. I mean, we're taking some of these tech industry giants at their word on rockets in space is satellites. Okay. What if they were actually incorporating AI into everything? Okay. And that these devices were kind of like the part of the 5G or the 6G network. Okay. What if 5G and 6G network actually had to make people think that they see things? Okay. It even said right in the patent for 5G. So, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is
You know,
this is the closest I
you
can
know,
describe. I
some,
mean, from what I just looked up real quick, except it didn't illuminate the area or project any beam like if it was a
No.
spotlight, but it was round just like this.
right. It was just the ball. Yeah, it was
Right.
just the ball that was lit up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Pure white.
not the
Yep.
area. Exactly. So, here's the thing in my research, guys, and from dealing with portals and all that and doing the orbs and stuff, it kind of correlates together. But in my opinion, you have orbs that are supernatural. You have orbs that are described as possibly portals that are opening up. You have, orbs that are described as spirits and ghosts. There's even been reports of Sasquatch and Bigfoot being seen with orbs. I take you, for instance, to the 1967, I believe, on the incident at Presque Isle State Park in Erie, PA. There was a reported UFO that was sighted over the bay, and it went down and landed in the Isle. And there was these teenagers at the time. I think they've since then passed. But at a certain beach, I think it was Beach 11, and the report goes on to say that the boys got the car, the mud stuck in the sand. So they tried to walk somewhere, leaving the young ladies behind, and go get a tow truck to see if a tow truck could pull them out. Well, the two young ladies were in the car and they heard this crashing sound, and they described this Bigfoot being holding an orb underneath its arm. Okay. And it was glowing. I think they said it was glowing like a whitish and yellow in color. And there was a big tree there, a big pine tree there. And the report goes on to say that when Project Blue check it out, or Project Blue Book came in to check it out, they actually removed that tree because it was filled with radiation. Okay. And that tree since then has been completely removed. And in fact, that whole beach has been completely redone, apparently. But, you know, my point is there's so many different reasons that orbs are being seen, and there's so many different things that it could be, that even if we have reports back in the 1960s of them being seen with Bigfoot and stuff in areas around the America, you know, what's to say that they're not part of an alien agenda too, you know? So are these devices that some kind of an advanced race is using to monitor humanity, to see how humanity interacts with it? Could they be supernatural? Could they be angelic? Could they be demonic? That's where I'm going with this, because I just got done doing research on that, the different colors. And what I've found out through my research is that the lighter color the orb, the less fearful you have to be. Okay. Orange, when you see an orb that is red or orange, that's when you need to be more fearful. Okay. Not fear of it, but, you know, just be aware that it could be, you know, dangerous. Okay. Every report that I've come across when it comes to orbs being described as white or glowing yellow type of a color, bad things haven't happened. Okay. When you see orbs in the sky, they're usually 90% of the time, they're usually white. Okay. Or a light color. Okay. Could that be a portal? Yeah. Some of them could be portals. Could that be angelic? Yeah. Some of them could be angelic. Could that be a UFO? Yeah, it could be a UFO. Could that be a secret device that a foreign nation has? Yes, it could be. There's several different avenues you can go with this.
Yeah.
But, you know, everybody's going to have their own take on it because they're going to have their own experiences with them. Plain and simple.
Exactly.
Like you guys did.
The other thing additional we can say about this area here is a couple hundred yards away, the same night, about 20, 30 minutes earlier, Drew had his encounter with a couple of sets of glowing eyes. Then we seen the light about 25 minutes, 30 minutes later, going back to get his account of what happened. Another couple from Pennsylvania, September prior, described what may have been a Bigfoot that ran across the road. By her description, she thought it was a bear. Camp out after that, September, we had our electrical problems with batteries going dead, coming back up, and lights and so on and so forth. And I got electrical interference on my action cam. And this whole general area around where we've seen this light over about maybe almost a year time frame, from a couple of camp outs to the camp out before, 3 camp outs total.
Yeah. And let me add in there.
It makes me wonder what is going on in that particular area. I mean, it could be bigger than what we experienced, about maybe a half a mile radius. But from where we experienced all these different things, around half a mile radius around the campsite, and I'm just giving an average on the distance. It just puts in my mind a question: what is going on in that area?
Well, I think William was right when he said a while back that it's elementals that's out there, and they're testing us right now, and that they're getting ready to.
Yeah. Well, see, that's one thing that a lot of people that aren't indigenous and don't understand that there are forces that are within our environment. And my people always called them spirits. Some of them are trickster spirits. Some of them are ancient spirits, like spirits of the trees and spirits of Makal Wakan, sacred Mother Earth. And even wildlife has spirit. Okay, and that's why whenever we did anything with wilderness and with the environment and with the wildlife, we always did it respectfully. And I think that somehow humanity as a whole has just said basically piss on the environment and all this negativity. Daniel knows this. It says in the Bible that we were created and given dominion over the earth, which makes us the stewards of the land and animals. Okay, that stewardship we kind of cast aside. I mean, look what we do to our oceans. Look what we pollute in our airs with. Look at the chemicals that we laden our groundwater with. You know, we blew it. And I think that these spirits are coming forward and having a real issue with humanity right now and trying to get humanity to correct its ways. And that's why I had you guys put that feather and that ribbon up in that tree, because it's a healing process, you know?
Yeah, with what David was sharing earlier, with everything from the various campouts, what we've experienced, I've camped up there a couple different times by myself. And on one of my campouts by myself, in the same area where we witnessed the light, I went up walking up through that area. I had a headlamp on, and I had my super bright flashlight. I was using both at the same time. Now, I mind you, which I've shared before, that flashlight was fully charged. You know, from the time I walked from where I was camped at, from the time I left camp, wasn't completely dark quite yet. It was dark enough, but when I got up into the area, it got darker because you're surrounded by the more trees and whatnot. Mm-hmm. However, I had both lights going. I had my headlamp on and I had my handheld flashlight. And it wasn't until after I've gone up through the area and I just started walking back, and I'm filming all this, and I'm looking, I'm observing, I'm listening, and during my time, and all this is on video. I've shared this on one of my videos, which I shared a small clip I think with David, but a lot of this is being filmed where it's going towards one of the film series that I'm producing, apart from Bigfoot Explorers. Which hopefully will be streaming soon. Gone Rogue, which was just me. I was walking along, I'm recording, and all of a sudden I noticed, okay, it's not as bright out here. What the heck? I didn't realize right away until I looked down and my flashlight was off. I said, I don't remember turning this off. And I go to click on it, push the button to turn it back on, and it would come on and go right back off again. And then it got to the point I was filming this, I kept pushing the button. Like it wouldn't even. It got to the point it wasn't even turning on at all. I said, "What the heck's wrong with my flashlight?" So considering, okay, I only have a headlamp on. What happens if this goes dead? I said, it's time for me to get back to camp. At least, my camp is lit up, and I have my power station there. So I get back there. I may get back to camp, and I'm getting ready to, hook up my power station to recharge my lights. I always want to make sure I have plenty of lights at camp, especially by myself. And before I even get a chance to plug it up, I push the button on it again, and it turns on completely back on. All four lights lit up like it's fully charged again. And I'm like kind of puzzled by this, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I'm kind of in my mind, I'm going through my mind like, this all happened in the same area where we've seen that light. Same area where you told us to hang the ribbon, and the feather. And, it was just strange. I was like, something about that particular spot, is interfering with us, interacting or whatever, how you want to look at it. But I was like, it was strange. It wasn't scary at all, but it was just like mind puzzling. It was, like, okay, it was kind of exciting in a sense, but you're trying to figure out why is this happening,
Well, what's fascinating about it is too
exactly.
is it's from visual with the light, it's from radios and camera equipment going dead, coming back on, and Daniel being touched one evening at camp.
Yeah,
Then a deer went busting down the uh,
right behind the
trail
stream.
above
Yeah,
the
right behind
stream there
camp.
by camp one night. We don't know what made it go flying down through there. We didn't hear anything chasing it. It's just too many different things to where we can't say it was everything was electrical. We had a visual, electrical, equipment malfunctioning and turning on by themselves. Another couple was out there uh, about a month after, well, when Daniel was out there camping, they spent the weekend with him. And Daniel told me that they reported to him that the lady woke up at 5 o'clock or so in the morning. It was still dark. And she thought she seen a small shadow figure outside the tent. And then she heard a lady's voice saying, "Come on, child." And then, like, a woman was talking to a child out there in the middle of nowhere, close to the tent. I mean, all this is the same area.
Well, you have to, yeah, you have to understand though. One thing that I've always tried to instill in people, and it doesn't religious affiliation. You have to understand this. This land that we walk on, everywhere around the world, is a blood-stained land. Generations have perished on this land, and not
Hmm.
just humanity's generations. We're talking generations of other beings, of other, wildlife and stuff. Have that
Yep.
collective energy. The earth is like a battery. Okay. And what happens to when an earthquake happens? Okay. You can see what they call earthquake lightning. Okay. It comes up out of the ground. Everybody thinks lightning comes down from the sky to the ground.
Exactly. Ground
No,
up. Yep.
no. It goes
They
from
call
the
it great.
ground up to the sky.
Up. Hmm.
Okay. So, all that collective energy is below our feet. And when we go into certain areas and we don't acknowledge certain things in those areas, you can call it, elementals, you can call it, um, spirits, you can call it, anything you want. But the whole premise of it is to do it with reverence and respect. Okay. And the more respect and reverence you give to a site that you go to periodically over and over again, the more of a connection you make to it. Okay. And that's what you have happening. That's why you have shadow beings being seen, voices being heard, orbs being seen, wildlife acting peculiar, you know, different electronic devices going crazy because you have that collective force, that collective energy. Okay. In China and Asia, areas of the world, they call it chi. Okay. If you've ever seen a Shaolin monk or a master at chi and energy manipulate themselves and to levitate themselves and to do certain things to concentrate on something so strongly that they set it on fire. That's what this energy is, and our whole world is based on it. Okay, our own bodies are energy. Okay, people, they don't understand that, when we're dealing with these things, we're dealing with basically civilization built on top of civilization. Okay, and basically death built on top of death, which makes the ground beneath our feet. you know and if you don't do things in a way that is meant in a good way, only bad going to happen. Okay, you guys haven't had any bad things happen. Okay,
Thank
because
God.
you're doing it honorably. You're doing
Yeah.
it honorably. Okay, and that's what I try to instill in everybody that I talk to. That's why I put out today, earlier today, about the owl thing. I know Daniel wanted me to ask me about that, and you know there's in my people's belief, we have certain, every animal has a spirit. Animal has an energy, has a responsibility, and basically a connection to humanity and to the people, okay, and to the environment. And the owl, to my people, to some it's a good thing, but to my people, the owl is a bad omen. When you hear it or you see it, and experience it, then that means that someone is going to have some harm come to them, or something bad's going to happen. Somebody's going to be probably unalive. Okay. And I have noticed lately that I have been seeing a lot of people that have been posting that they've been losing people, loved ones and stuff, and pets. And I'm just curious to make that connection to find out if they might have heard an owl, or they might have seen an owl, or had
You,
some
men-
kind of interaction with an owl
you
within
mentioned
that week.
Ohio, you mentioned Ohio, Pennsylvania. Is that specifically why those two locations?
Because that's where I've seen a lot of tragedy happen. It's not just that specific location.
Okay, all right.
There is, I believe, a portal that exists in a certain area of Pennsylvania, where unexplained things are happening, and I haven't got it down to an exact location. I've got it into a general location. It stems from basically the border of Pennsylvania and West Virginia, and the border of well, not even the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania. It goes into Ohio probably about 30 miles, 40 miles, and then it goes all the way up to the Great Lakes of Erie. Okay, and I believe it goes all over to the Allegheny Mountains. And I believe that this area is susceptible to having supernatural things happen, certain things occurring, that people just can't explain, things that they see in the sky, lights in the sky, strange weather phenomena, animal mutilations, sightings of cryptid creatures, and unexplained sudden deaths of livestock, pets, and people. And I'm just curious that if any of those people in that area actually heard and interacted with an owl in some way, shape, or form, because of the symbolism and meaning behind it as far as my people go. So
Yeah,
Are you talking? Are you? Have you got a time frame on that? Anytime, or here recently, within the last month or two, or
I've basically found out that in my own personal experience, and I've always had an owl interact with me when something passed away. Um, my beautiful female dog that we had, that passed away in 2016. I swore I'd never own a dog again, and I haven't. Um, but
yeah,
I heard an owl a couple days before she passed away. Okay, and she was a beautiful dog. She was, she wasn't that old. So and she was fairly healthy. So it's just, and then I hear other people having these tragic events happening too, of having loss of life and stuff. Whether it's a family member, a friend, or someone that they were acquainted with a couple times. It doesn't have to be somebody you're related to. Okay. What I've found is that whenever in my life, and several people that I've talked to, that I ask about owl, or did they see an owl or something along that lines, within, like, say, 7-day period of the event happening, they usually confirm with me, yes, we heard an owl or we saw an owl. So are we having these things presented to us on a regular basis to forewarn us. And I think that, over time, over history, even the indigenous people, even my own people, have kind of fallen away from understanding those signs. Okay, those meanings behind interactions with wildlife, because it just seems to me like when you it's like I said before, when I had Glenn Purcell on the podcast about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. I brought up the fact that we started talking about medicine animals and stuff, and I brought up the fact that when I see a crow, when I was driving, vehicles and stuff, when I saw a crow cross my path, the representation to my people with the crow is it means law. It means justice and law. Okay. So every time I had a crow fly across the front of my vehicle on a highway or something or a road, I always knew to slow down on my travel, be a little bit more cautious. And sure enough, about 2-3 miles down the road would be sitting a state trooper or a county mountie or somebody sitting there with a radar gun. Okay. I can't explain it, but when you actually have that connection and that understanding of things that interact with you on a regular basis, and you have the ability to interpret what they're trying to relay to you, things happen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's why I had that question about the owl, because whenever somebody hears an owl or sees an owl, to me, it's a symbol of a bad omen. So that's why I put that out there.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that a little bit. Real quick before I go on, do you believe that there could be also an alternative or opposite meaning or with owls in general?
Well, you see, with my people, the opposite of the owl would be like the eagle or the hawk. Okay, the red-tailed hawk. So that would be to my people. The reason the eagle has white feathers, tail feathers and stuff, is because it flew so high to the Creator that its feathers got singed. Okay, and it came back down, and it had white feathers ever since then. The messenger from the Creator to the people is considered to be the red-tailed hawk or a hawk. Okay, this could be a Swanson hawk. It could be, a kestrel hawk. It's got to be a hawk. Okay, that's the messenger from the Creator of the people. That's the conduit. Right. Okay, just like the holy people, the Wachashawakans and the medicine people were considered the conduit to the Creator from the people. You see the connection? So, there's a supernatural connection to everything. And I think that a lot of humanity has steered away from that. Even Christ taught that there was more to this world than what we could fathom, basically. Okay. He came and he taught people to be the ones to give unconditional love, the ones to follow the commandments of the Father, okay, and to respect all things, and to not degrade what the Father has created. It's kind of the same thing. When Native people, indigenous people are so embraced within the culture and learning the signs and symbols of things and abilities of things and how to interact with things, the better things happen. Okay. And I think that humanity needs to kind of, get back to that, to understand that there is more to this life, a lot more than just the flesh and blood.
I think the most humanity is too far gone for that.
Yeah, that's sad to say, though, but yeah, I think you're right.
My opinion.
Yeah.
They're so dumbed down and indoctrinated on many different things, and you got I'm not going to go down there, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. One of the
So,
things I wanted to bring up regarding the owl. Now, I've spoken about this, in podcasts before, and I may have possibly mentioned on some of my field videos. Um, but over the years, even camping by myself in my main research area up around Elkhorn, I've camped there so many times by myself, in different areas out there, and I've experienced owls and hearing them communicate over the years. Now, for the longest time, for several years, I never really put these together till in later years, and where I became more inclined, because I feel like over the years I become more deeper in touch with nature, and feeling and somewhat in a way understanding things that I never thought I would really start to understand. But the owl in general, I started listening, like, especially I'll be at camp. Like Melissa, David, if you guys recall, the first time you guys ever camped at me in that one location, I've camped there a lot of times by myself. I've experienced quite a bit over the years, hearing various different
Mhm.
sounds and vocalizations, and especially right, and then having activity, big major hard tree knocks right across from camp. Well, I've witnessed and observed and listened and hearing owls right there at camp, and I also have heard other owls communicating back and forth with the other owls. Then I've heard some from distant, more distantly. But the one thing I observed, and I never put this together, but I've always experienced owls in a positive sense, to where I don't know if they're telling on something, which it seems like they have, or were, considering what I've experienced after hearing them communicate for a while. And to elaborate on that a little bit is, every time I've heard owls communicate back and forth, you know, there's a lot of times that people don't realize when owls are sounding off and making their vocalizations, a lot of times there are different forms of communicating, regardless if it's them looking for a mate or whatever it may be. Um,
Yep.
but after hearing them communicate for a while, there's one thing that always follows after they went silent, and that would be hearing bipedal movement around the area. You would start experiencing hearing other things that would not have nothing to do with the owl, but that's just my observation. Now,
Well, here's
you
the
know,
thing, though, Daniel. Here's the thing,
yeah.
though, Daniel. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh
how do
no,
you
you're
know it
fine.
might not have anything to do with how do you know it might not have anything to do with the owl? See, the
Well,
owl
I
is a
mean, then again,
messenger.
right?
The owl
Yeah,
is a messenger. Okay, it may be a forewarning that something malevolent is in that environment.
yeah,
So you
absolutely.
There's
know,
there's one
It's like,
question on here right quick. If you two want to expand on it, what do owls sound like? They hoot, right? And that's a
well,
broad question. They do more, a lot more than that. A
way
lot
a
more.
lot more.
it depends on the species. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different vocalizations and tones. Same with coyotes. Not all coyotes
yeah,
will sound the
screech
same.
owls.
Hmm.
Yeah, we have screech owls
Yeah,
where we camp at, and they
Red
don't
nose
sound like they're
goblin.
not
yeah,
your typical hoot owl. They're very soft in
exactly.
tone. Yeah, people think a screech owl is going to scream.
Everybody thinks that an owl sounds like a great horned owl,
Yeah, barred owls,
and
they have
they
some
really,
wild sounds. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
I've oh,
Yeah,
there was
you
one
have
Just
to
time.
one
you have to
screech
know
owl will
your
make your skin
sounds.
crawl if you hear a screech owl will make you goosebumps on your back.
Well, I had barred owls sound off. Like I said, I've heard them for years by myself. But there was times where I've had other people camping with me. My buddy Greg and
Hmm.
his son one time, and we're sitting there at camp, and all of a sudden we had a. I knew exactly what it is. I've heard these for years, and if you're not expecting them, they will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, because, especially if it's something you never heard before, they will make
Hmm.
this god awful scream. And again, it's from an owl, and if you never heard it before, you're gonna like, what the was that? Because I mean, my buddy
Exactly.
Greg, he's like, bro, did you hear that? He said, there's a squatch right here at camp. I said, relax, Greg, it's just an owl. I mean, this is coming from a guy who will point out horse poop and call it Bigfoot poop or bear poop.
Bigfoot scat.
So, yeah, I mean, there's just some people that their mind goes too far this way. Then they're like, wait, slow down, look at what you're looking at,
No,
or
put the brakes on.
you know,
Put the brakes on, man.
yeah,
Pump the brakes.
yeah. I mean, I know it's easy to get excited when you hear stuff or find stuff out there. I get it. I was that way for a long time. I still get that way. Don't get me wrong. I still get that way.
Right.
It's because if you're so inclined and attached to nature, you love finding that stuff. You love hearing this stuff. Because it's like, yeah, you're in their world.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You get to experience what's out there. I don't.
That's exactly
deer.
it. You just said it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You just said it in a nutshell right there, Daniel. Your world. Okay.
Exactly.
That is their world. So if that
Really,
wants to interact with you, you have to experience it with them. Exactly. You have to make that connection. So exactly.
I mean, I've heard like anyone's ever heard on a video of a rabbit being taken by a predator. Now, I've had that happen right there at camp. I don't know if it was an owl or a coyote, but that poor rabbit right inside the tree line behind my camp, screaming bloody murder. Oh my gosh. I was like, I've heard that for the first time. I was like, I knew exactly what it was because I got used to hearing it on videos. And now I'm out in the woods hearing it for myself.
That's one thing, though. If you ever hear a rabbit scream because of an owl attacking it at night, just pray you went to the bathroom before you hear the sound, because if you've never heard it before, it will scare the piss out of you, literally.
Yeah. I mean, I've had all kinds. I mean, I've had foxes right there at camp bark at me. I'm standing there looking at a tree line. I say, I don't see you, but I hear you. I say, I know you're there. I say, yeah. He's like, that was like that fox. I'm in his home. He's like, he's barking at me. Probably like, why are you here? Go.
They'll actually. I've actually had foxes that'll actually sound like they're talking too. And it's usually the kit foxes. They make that vocal sound where the mother fox is trying to make sure that her kits are staying put. Because like with any animal, any wildlife, a newborn or any type of wildlife, they get used to the mother's voice. It's the same principle when somebody tells you to speak into the belly of a pregnant woman. It's the same concept. They get used, the babies get used to that voice, that vibration of that voice. Okay. Wildlife is the same way. That's why I've always said you can learn so much from observing the wildlife around you. And if you figure out the wildlife around you, Bigfoot and Dogman ain't that far off.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, get away from the cars and the honks and the TV and the home, and get out in the woods and experience it daytime or night. Just get the feel of what's of it. One question on here. Are the sites of different owl sounds? The best thing to do is just go on the internet and type in what type of owls are found in where you live at, and then write those names down and go on YouTube and type those owl sounds in. That type of owls that you want to listen to, they'll bring up a library of the different sounds that each species makes.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
YouTube is an excellent tool, yes. I mean, and keep looking and listening to the different sounds, because you're not going to always hear this, all the different sounds. There's so many different tones and vocals that these animals make, because there's typical common ones you'll come across, but you got to keep digging, because there's so many more that you won't always, if you're not out in the woods enough to experience it, take advantage. If you can't get out in the woods, take advantage of doing a research online. You'll be
and not only owls, a lot of wildlife like your squirrels. If they've sensed danger, they make a clicking, clattering sound. You might want to look up. Your crows to do the same thing. If you just look that stuff up on how do they vocalize when danger's around, they may not be talking to you directly, but if you're in the area, they could actually alert you to something that may be there that you may not want to encounter, or at least be wary of.
Yeah,
exactly.
Listen to
I'm
the
going to
sound, the
be I'm
cry
going to
of
be
a
putting
squirrel.
together. Yeah, I'm going to be putting together a short video on some. Well, it's kind of like old school type of survival stuff that has been a long time forgotten, and I'm going to be incorporating that with some gear reviews that I'll be doing here. Probably tomorrow, I'll be a video out about that.
Yeah.
I've got,
I'll be right back, guys.
yeah, I've just, I've got limited time on things right now and limited energy. I've got to, mark my time, sparingly in some things. But I've got so much going on right now and so many things going on right now in my head, David and Melissa, that, it's like I got so much that I want to investigate and I want to research, but I know I'm not going to do it all. And that's why I've started incorporating questions to the public and to my friends and stuff and on social media to see what their responses are. So I don't know. I'm going to have to go pretty soon too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole world out there that people just don't even know exists or never experienced.
Exactly. Melissa, I wanted to show you something. This is something that I got recently off of Amazon, and it's called soursop. It's got morgana, it's got sea moss, oregano, ashwagandha, and black seed oil.
Well, William, if you're trying to keep up with this woman, it's a lost cause. I'm telling you. Hold on a minute. She was put some stuff in the daggone stove the day that she was bowling up. I said, what the? Whose yard did you dig up this time?
I've already made me a batch. I just heated up. Here's my soursop leaves.
To make sure, because I started taking this stuff.
Now,
I don't make it myself.
Yeah,
I don't make it myself, but I've found that over the last week that I've been taking it, that problem that I have, like getting air pockets in my throat from the cancer and having a hard time eating and swallowing from the cancer, has pretty much gone away for the most part. I'd say at least 90% of the time. So, anybody out there that is having problems like that, I highly recommend this. I really
and I've
do.
got sea moss also.
Hey, show that again, William. What's that?
It's liquid drops, and it's called soursop.
It's
and
like
it's
a tincture.
Yeah, it's a thing where you take 1 milligram a day, okay, and comes with a dropper, and you take 1 milligram a day, and it literally it really helps you. It's a cancer fighter. It's helped sustain me for the last week that I've been taking it. I'm not 100%, but there for a while I was having some serious problems. I didn't think I was going to make it. But since I started taking that, it's been getting slowly better. So is it a cure? I'm not saying it is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse.
And now, could you say what the name of it is? Because when you showed up on the screen, of course, everything showed in reverse. It was all back.
Yeah, it is.
William,
okay, let me get my glasses.
She has her own eye dropper.
Well, I'm just saying, he was talking about drops. Basically, It's like that in a medicine dropper. This one's glass. This here happens to be a ghost pipe tincture that I made to try to help with my pain from my cancer.
Yeah, this is 100% natural. It's egg-free, dairy-free, and it's basically like a liquid drop dietary supplement where you take 1 milligram a day, and the name brand of it is, I can't even pronounce it. It's VIVONU. Okay, Vivonu, I think is how it's pronounced. But it's liquid drops. It's got sour, morgana, sea moss, oregano, ashwagandha, and black seed oil. And I'm telling you what, man, to me, it's helped. Okay. Will it help everybody? I don't know. But if you're having problems with breathing or swallowing, if you're suffering from the C word, which trust me, I'm on my third battle. Um, I've tried everything, and this actually started working right away. So, and I just take a milligram of it and drop it down my throat, and every day, once a day, and that's it. So, I highly recommend it. I'm just saying, it's just one of those weird things that you just. I mean, I also take kava. I take kava for my immune system.
Yeah.
So, there's certain things that that you realize we can't depend on medicine. Okay, we can't depend on pharmaceuticals because pharmaceutical chemicals. That's all they are. That's all
Yeah. Oh,
they are.
yeah.
Aspirin hasn't been aspirin since they took it from the inside. Okay, now it's all chemicals. So
Yeah.
So I
And
tell
they
you
won't
what,
go.
guys. Oh, go
They
ahead.
won't go back to the old ways either.
yeah,
Awesome. So before we get ready to come to a close, I still want to share this picture. Again, I think it's fun. If it's fake, it's fake. I mean, I'm usually pretty good at identifying fake pictures, but when I zoomed in on it, I mean, if it's AI, I don't know, but the figure when you zoom in on it, you can see it's actually behind some trees and foliage. So if AI created it, it's not. It's clear. AI is usually pretty sharp and clear on stuff. But I'm going to share
right.
this just for shits and giggles. You know what I mean? But here it is right here. Here is the image before I zoomed in on it. All right. So this is what we're looking at right now. You can clearly see there appears to be an upright bipedal figure in the image. So I can't even remember where I grabbed it from. It wasn't from one of the typical groups that I'm normally in, but so I thought I'd share this for just for the heck of it.
If that's AI, that's pretty good. I mean,
Right?
you're
Well, that's what
talking
I'm saying.
the body of it is actually behind branches and
Yes, that's what
small
Well,
tree
yeah, I can
structures
do
and
that.
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the zoomed in. Well, with this here, everyone's seeing this. The zoomed in picture that I did when I zoomed in and cropped it, you could clearly see it is actually behind stuff. So, and I don't know if you guys will be able to make this out. It does look like this figure has almost somewhat of a snout. So, here it is zoomed in.
Oh yeah, almost looks like a
Yeah, like a gugway.
canine or something.
I
Well,
hate
that
to
could be
say it.
that could be a play alike too on that.
I'm looking to see if I see 10 fingers on the hands.
Well, the hands
You
are
can't
not
see
that
that.
visible on this
Extra
here, but
You can't see that.
That
yeah,
is something. If you could send that to me, Daniel, on Messenger, I'll pop it up on program that I've got and take a look at
yeah.
it tomorrow.
I absolutely. I should have saved the source. I mean, I forget who posted it, what group it was in, but I don't think it. For some reason, it showed up in my newsfeed when I was browsing, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm not in this group." But things show up sometimes for me, and
It
but
almost looks like there was a problem that I'm having with AI. Okay, and you guys know I've been having a battle with AI. Okay, there has been a battle going on between me and AI lately. All right. Those of you that know me on Facebook know that the battle is this. It's been off the charts. But the thing with these things now, these pictures that are coming up, it's almost like they take still shots of movies and
yeah.
certain things like that, or
Oh yeah,
and make it look like it's authentic. And with AI, you can do that. So could that be a movie clip? There for the longest time, there was movie clips of the dog soldiers and stuff, movie that was going around, people claiming
yeah.
it was a dog man or a werewolf or whatnot. And it was just out of them. So, there's, you have to take that into consideration too. So
Well, I don't know what you all were saying, but all I see was a tree stump.
I'll pull it back up.
I'm only kidding, Daniel.
Oh well, damn you, David.
I'm only kidding.
oh,
In the words of in the words of a very old man that I know, God damn it.
you left out ornery.
Yeah, tell me about it. No, that AI is getting to where you can't tell what drill or what ain't anymore, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be one of our downfalls.
Well, speaking about
Yeah.
AI real quick, I know we've been talking about this on occasions on and off, but now, like I've told people, I believe AI could be your best friend or it could be the worst thing in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
I take advantage of using the AI. I have like 3 or 4 different AI apps on my phone.
Mhm.
I have it on my laptop here as well. But like, I take advantage of it. Like, I make promos. I make promos with it. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
I
were
haven't
goodness
talking
gotten
me.
about
involved with that
English or
yet.
something. But I mean, I use AI to create the book covers of my book. I mean, I think they do pretty good graphics. I got to give them that. So,
Right.
Oh, AI's got its place, but it's
oh
it's
yeah,
just getting so sophisticated now that I mean that's why YouTube is cracking down, and a lot of innocent people is getting hurt by it, being demonetized and channels shut down because
yeah,
Yeah.
they make all this AI generated stuff, and they're not clicking the one box. This is AI generated, and the people's thinking it's real stuff. Where you get the celebrity news and all this other stuff, whatnot, they're just making stuff up, and people's believing
yep.
it. You
It's
know.
getting out of that
Well,
part's getting out of hand. Yes, yeah.
guys, I gotta go. I gotta take this medication here that I've got, and I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank the chat for all the great questions and stuff, and for the interaction. Um, and keep
We need to do it
questioning
again.
everything, guys. There's a lot we don't
Absolutely.
understand, a lot, and it's more than just Bigfoot and Dogman. Trust me. So,
Yep.
Oh, for
just the
sure.
tip of the
Hey,
iceberg.
oh, most
Well,
definitely.
William, good talking with you again.
Good to see you.
We need to do it
Take
again.
care, guys.
Yeah,
We'll
this
get
has been great.
together.
And William, next time bring something Melissa doesn't have.
That's going to be a
I
hard
have
one.
a lot of tinctures that I have made on my own. Some of them I've figured out that I need to make them stronger, but
Now, maybe we should
Yeah.
put together a book.
Hey, hey, there you go. That would be awesome. Do it. Yeah.
All right,
I'll be,
guys.
I'll
I'll
be glad
talk
to
to you
help.
all later.
All
have a
right,
good
keep
Take
us
care,
night.
watching,
William.
man. Hey, and real quick, we'll have to bring you out to our camp too. If we can get you out there for at least a day, that would be awesome to get you out there. So,
I've got a
Yeah.
brand new tent for that.
okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and a sleep
Cool.
bag.
Well, I know a couple that got a camper now. So hey,
Yeah.
What? What's he talking about?
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
all right. Well, you have a good night, guys. All right. So, guys, tell you what, we'll get ready to come to a close. But one last thing before we jump off here, I have to promote it one last time. Uh, these are 3 out of the 4 that I just put out there. And of course, the other book I put out there is not an actual book; it's a field guide. It's more of a not a field guide; it's a ECBRO Bigfoot log book. And but apart from that, these 3 are my latest, newest books with details and stories. Trail of the Unknown: A Journey Beyond Truth. The Bigfoot Zone: A Comprehensive Research Doctrine of Bigfoot Investigations. And then my first children's book I ever did, Caden Goes Camping. And I had fun doing that one. It's not a big book; it's a small children's book, and it's based off of me and Caden's camping adventures. Of course, in this book, it's a fictional story that takes place in it where Caden makes a discovery, and he gets to experience the wildlife in there. So I had fun doing that little book. But the other 2 books are for grown adults. They are nonfiction books. They are books based off of real accounts, real research, and a lot of data deeply involved in a lot of details that get dug into very deep. So these books are available on lulu.com on the bookstore. Trail of the Unknown and the Bigfoot Zone, they are still currently waiting global distribution. However, being that they're available on Lulu.com on their bookstore, if you really want to support me, I would take advantage of buying them through Lulu.com because, yes, I will say it that I get more of a revenue commission off of Lulu direct because once they go to global distribution, they are third party sales where I only get a smaller percentage, which sucks, but that's the way the cookie goes. The cookie crumbles. But so yeah, these books are my latest books, so take advantage of them. But they will be available on Amazon, also Barnes and Noble. So that there, I got some more time. And they take up to 6 to 8 weeks for them to go to global distribution. It could happen sooner, but right now they are available on Lulu.com. So go to Lulu.com and go to their bookstore and look for these titles. Um, and real quick, I'll throw this out there right here. If you are a Bigfoot researcher, the ECBO logbook here, and there it is, right there. This is the latest one I got right here. This is for documenting your evidence. It's laid out to where, yeah, if you're out there in the field, you can. If you find tracks, if you find whatever evidence it is, this is a logbook. It's designed to document and keep record of your evidence. Very organized. So I thought I'd put that out there just for for fun. Because there's a lot of people. Yeah, you could buy a notebook. You could buy a journal in Walmart. But I thought I'd put something together where everything's categorized and organized. So again, available on Lulu.com. So, but so yeah, check that out. I'm on Facebook. If you guys if you have questions regarding any of this information, you can just send me a message or whatnot. So I just want to throw that out there one last time.
Griff on here says he needs some beard oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you know what. Here's the thing. I think I only have a little bit left. I don't know. I need to make more. I haven't made more in a while. And I will say, all my beard oil is organically made. I don't add a bunch of junk in it. Everything is purely organic. I had made two sizes of it. The small one was 10. The large 4-ounce bottle was 15. And I probably wouldn't go any cheaper because that stuff cost me a lot of money. That's why I haven't made more in a while. All the ingredients that you buy to put into it, it's definitely not cheap. It adds up, and so that's why I haven't made any in a while. One of the reasons I haven't made any in a while because I usually take it with me to sell at events. Now I have tried to ship it to people, and I had one lady order like 1 or 2 bottles of it one time a few years back, and they never got the package, even though I had, there was a tracking order and everything. She got a piece of paper or part of the card. I don't know why this never made sense. Yeah, they bought. I shipped it to them and I packaged it very carefully, but they had a piece of the packaging, and that was all they got. Which, what the heck, So I think I was able to make it good for them somehow, but yeah, the bottles I've been selling are usually about $15 a bottle. I don't know. I mean, I need to find a better way to ship it, because I guess some mailing people or however it gets handled, it's very careless, So that's something I need to look into. But again, yeah, I would love to start putting it out more because I've had some very positive feedback on my beard oil before. Because, like I tell people, it's not just for beard. There's a lot of the skin. It's good for your skin. I use it myself when I have it because I have eczema that breaks out real bad on my chest, especially in the hot weather. I break out real bad, and I've actually used it to massage into where I break out real bad. And I tell you what, it works wonders on your eczema, especially if you have it real bad. It breaks out, itches. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you, Griff. Griff said it's great stuff. So, but yeah, I need to work on getting that more. Like I said, I haven't made none in a few 2 or 3 years. So, but
You better get on it.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Because Griff said he ran out
He's
in Marionville.
Yeah. That's up at Marionville, Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's where I had some bottles with me up there. Yeah, last year and a couple of years before that. So, but, I sold quite a bit when I was in South Carolina a couple of years ago. I know I sold out quite a bit down in South Carolina. I did pretty good down there. I was surprised. So, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Um, some of you guys, depending on where you live, we had a scheduled Bigfoot town hall gathering scheduled for Parkersburg, West Virginia. That was going to be coming up at the end of this month on the 28th, but that got postponed because me and Chadwick Gales from Pennsylvania, we were going to be hosted by Linda Sigmund. Linda Sigmund was going to put us up in her home while we stayed out there, but she had medical issues with her family, mainly her sons. They had surgeries and other issues. So we decided to reschedule that, which now is going to be in April, and it's going to be in the early part of April. So at the Parkersburg Wood Library, I'll be doing a Bigfoot Town Hall gathering and a presentation there as well. And I am looking forward to getting there because I'm going to be doing. Me and Chad, we're going to take advantage of Linda's property. We're going to do some scouting around, some investigating, and then I'll be filming Linda as well in person. So if you guys are in that area on April 11th, I believe is when we reschedule. April 11th. And then in the month of March, let me back up. In the month of March, me and Chadwick are going to be getting together. Me and Chadwick Gales. I'm going to be meeting with him. We're going to be doing a long weekend camp out investigation in this very same area where he's actually discovered some very strange, odd, three-toed tracks. And not just any old three-toe tracks. These three-toe tracks measured up to be 14 inches. 14 inches, three toes. They look just like I don't know if you can see my three fingers, but a little bit longer. And they have a rounded heel, almost humanoid. So I know there's some interesting stuff going on up there in Pennsylvania. So I'm looking forward to meeting up with that area. He's also had some strange lights experience in this very same area. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up in March, towards the end of March. So I'll be up there. And then we got our ECBRO group campout expedition coming up in May 17th through the 26th. We're looking forward to a new adventure, and we're also got up to 14 people registered to join this year's campout. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be fun. And then jumping ahead in the month of August, I'll be coming down to Oconee, South Carolina, holding a Bigfoot Town Hall gathering at the library there in Oconee, South Carolina. I'll be doing a presentation there as well. So if you're in the area, I have the events posted under my events on Facebook. So if you want any information on those events, just message me on Facebook or send me an email or whatnot. So, David and Melissa, before we jump off and call it a night, you guys have anything you want to share?
Nope, not really at this point. Just thanking everybody for tuning in tonight and the interaction on the chat that we have. Great.
Absolutely. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And if you're watching this, or I should say listening to this on ECBR Bigfoot Radio, hey, thank you very much. If you want to see some of the images that we shared, go back to my YouTube channel, Bigfoot Zone, ECBRO, and you can check out the craziness that we shared right here live on YouTube. But I want to thank everybody for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do so you stay up to date every time we go live every Friday night, because we got some more guests coming up. We got next couple Fridays. Next Friday, yes, I do have a guest set up for next Friday. And then I have another one coming up the first week of March. So, guys, keep it squatchy, and we're going to be calling it a night. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yeah, have a great night, everyone. You too, Daniel.
Absolutely, you too.